Welcome to Life, Lessons, and Laughter with your host, Glenn Ambrose.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Life, Lessons, and Laughter with Glenn Ambrose, your host. That's me. And your co-host, Ben Barber. That's him. For those of you watching, that one over on my left, waving incessantly at the camera.
Hey guys, I love a good show where you start it by laughing through the intro. It's the new Ambrose pause.
Somebody made a comment. Did you see that? Somebody made a comment. They were listening to all the old podcasts and stuff, and they became a big fan. They loved it. And they made a comment that they missed the Ambrose pause. I saw that like within the last month or so. Somebody commented either somewhere or sent me an email and it was in it or something. But I was like, oh my God, the Ambrose pause.
Welcome to, what's the name of my podcast? Life Lessons and Laughter.
Yeah. So,
I mean,
so
it's been
if you
8
haven't,
years at this point almost. So
yeah, and if you don't know what the Ambrose pause is, go back and listen to some of the earlier episodes. But yeah, so yeah, I like laughing to start it out too.
What's funny is I was just thinking of an old trope as well right now, which is that so we've always recorded multiple podcasts in a day to batch record them. And our second recording is always starts with laughing and a goofiness. And we used to mention it a lot, and we haven't mentioned it since you moved and we're not in person. Because when we were in person recording it in the same room, we would get real goofy between the two episodes.
Oh yeah,
We would start, especially when Dave was around too.
And if we recorded all those Ask Glenn Anythings and all that, like, I mean, we'd be recording for like 4 hours some days straight. Yeah. I mean, we'd be, just cackling like schoolgirls by the time we're done.
Yep.
So
what's right with the world? Anyway, So today we are talking about living by principles and not preferences.
Yeah. So I think I'll explain what I mean by that first. So living by principles and not preferences is it's like everything, it's been taught other ways before. I've even taught it other ways before, but there's overlap, and the way you come at things is different all the time. So it's basically, principles are things that are eternal. Principles are things that are like beneficial energies. So like principles are things like love, peace, kindness, generosity. Those are principles, and those are actually eternal principles. They are a specific form of energy that never dies. It's just they're true in the eternal. So like that's when you know that you're aligned with your soul. And when you're aligned with your ego, that's when you're caught up with the temporary things, with the fleeting things, with our preferences. So I always like, kind of simplifying things and having two options, just make it simple. Like if you're looking at life through, and Michael Bernard Beckwith teaches this as well. And I've taught this like through using love and fear as a guidance system. We did a podcast on that years ago. And it's kind of the same mentality. And Michael Bernard Beckwith talks about it going, when we're concerned with the eternal, we know that we're living from a space of the soul. And when we're concerned with the temporal, then we know we're living with concern for our ego. So this is what I'm talking about. And I was driving the other day. And, it's interesting coming back from the Dominican Republic. And basically, I didn't really drive for 2 months. I ended up learning how to ride a motorcycle and cooking out on the streets a little bit here and there. But as a general rule, I didn't really drive for 2 months. So when I came back here, I really anchored into a deeper level of spirituality and peace while I was there. And I wanted to make sure I hung on to that over here. So my awareness is like off the charts right now. And I'm really trying to pay attention to living peacefully and bringing what I was able to acquire over there into here, and, really living a more peaceful existence. So while I was driving, I noticed myself getting a little irritated with the normal little things, people cutting you off and driving too slow, driving too fast, having difficulty getting a lane over, whatever, all the stupid little things that people get irritated with. And I noticed myself getting irritated with it. And I was like, whenever I get irritated, I go, wait a minute now. Like, why are you're not feeling peace? And when I started looking into it, I was like, yeah, I'm more concerned with my preferences, not the principles of peace, the principle of peace. So that's when I really started dissecting it. And I was looking at it and I'm like, so right now I'm concerned. Why am I concerned with the preferences? Well, one, because they're just preferences. I don't want people to cut me off. I don't want people to drive too slow. I don't want people to drive too fast. It's just little preferences. So, and I'm like, but why am I making these preferences? And I realized that a lot of the reason why we make our preferences is because we're trying to achieve something. So I was like, what's my goal in driving? What is determining my thought processes while I'm driving? Why am I so focused on these preferences? And it was ultimately because the end goal was that I was focused on getting to where I wanted to get to. And anything that hindered that in any way, shape, or form was perceived as a problem. Because my goal was to get where I was going as, quickly as possible and as seamlessly as possible. So anything that got in the way of that was perceived as a problem. And I didn't like it, and I labeled it. So I was like, okay, so if my goal is causing all these problems, maybe I should have a different goal. So I was like, what's a healthier goal to have? I mean, I am going to get where I'm going. I was going home at the time. I'm going to get home. Whether it takes me 5 minutes longer or 15 minutes longer than I think it should, I probably won't even know, because I'm not looking at the clock and measuring how much time I'm later than expected. And I have nothing to do when I get home anyway. So what's a healthier goal than just trying to get home? And I was like, well, I have to pick a principle. So a principle would be driving in peace. What if my goal was to be in a peaceful state from where I am now all the way home? What if that was my goal, the whole goal of the drive? Because I know I'm going to get there. That's not a problem. I don't need to put effort or mental energy towards getting there. I'm going to get home. I know where I'm going. So it's just, what is my experience going to be like in the car while I'm doing that? And if my focus is on being peaceful, then when somebody cuts me off, instead of going, they shouldn't have cut me off, I would go, okay, somebody cut me off. How can I return? I'm okay. Nothing happened. How can I get myself back into a peaceful state? And I'll get back into that peaceful state. So do you see how, and I also talked about this with living through intentions. It's when we have an intention, when we have a goal, when we have a specific thing we're trying to achieve, everything in our subconscious and our unconscious heads in that direction and tries to achieve it. So if our goals are to, if our goal is to get home, anything that is a problem or gets in the way of that is going to be perceived as a problem. But if my goal is to stay peaceful, then every time I'm not peaceful, I'm going to do whatever it takes to try to get peaceful. So that's when I was really, and of course, as I'm contemplating all this stuff and implementing it, I'm just seeing the enormity of this practice and how it can impact so many areas of our lives. We are usually not concerned. The reason that we're stressed all the time, if our main goal as we walk through life was to not be stressed, our main goal, we can be like, okay, we don't have to trade one for the other. So like if we go to work and we go, well, if my goal is to be peaceful, I'm not going to do anything at work. No, that's not what we're talking about. That's egoic thinking, because it overgeneralizes everything and it doesn't actually make any sense. Of course, we're not telling you to just go into work, sit there in lotus position, and tell anybody that comes near you to get the hell away because they're screwing your peace. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the overarching goal being at peace and then doing what you need to do in the process. And trying to, and keeping a percentage of your consciousness on staying at peace. We can divide up our consciousness. I used to teach this with people, personal training, which I'm sure we did it too. You can divide your consciousness. So you can be like, okay, I'm gonna need to put 90% of my attention on actually performing the task, but I'm gonna take 10% of my consciousness and I'm gonna keep in the back of my mind, hey, don't forget to stay peaceful here. You can do what you're doing, but do it peacefully. And when you're working out, it's like you can, focus on your form, but you can have 10% of your consciousness going, hey, I got to continue breathing steady, or don't focus on your form once you're good at an exercise, and focus on your muscles flexing as you do the exercise so you can really get a good pump on that muscle. But have 10% of your consciousness going, hey, am I doing the form right still? Am I going all the way down and all the way up? Yeah, okay. So we can divide our consciousness in those ways. We can keep something as a running, hey, don't forget about this, in the background of our mind while we're doing things. And of course, it takes a little practice when we to get better at it. But honestly, talking about the personal training aspect, I have never taught this to a person in personal training that did not get it within 30 seconds. Every single time when I was teaching this to somebody and I told them to do it and they attempted it, like there were many people I told them what to do and they're like, I don't think I can do that. I got plenty of that. But as soon as they actually tried to do it, every single person, bar none, got it first try. So it's not that difficult to do if we just try doing it. We might not be able to fully wrap our brain around it before we try it.
I was just going to say it might be hard to wrap
right until you try it. And a lot of most spiritual things are like that. Living spiritually, you're not going to fully understand it before you do it. Like you just have to lean in and try. How do I live by faith? There is no paper that is going to be written that tells you to put your hands, your right hand in the air and your left hand on your hip and your 2 feet, 6 inches apart, and then lean forward slightly, and then you'll be living by faith. There is no formula. You just have to try it. You just have to try it to the best of your ability. So, you're never going to fully understand what you're trying to do. You just need to lean into it and do it. And then all of a sudden you find out, hey, maybe I think I did it a little. Okay, good. Build on that.
Yeah. I think it's really, I think that the thing that makes us, or me at least, abandon our principles is anything that's out of the comfort zone, right? So anything that makes you uncomfortable makes you immediately want to, or again, me speaking only for myself, makes me want to abandon the principles that I'm trying to work on. Like stress in any form will sometimes make you stray, or a lot of times make you stray. And it's would it be because our preference is comfort? Because our preference is not is for this thing to happen in just exactly the way that it is. And once we get a little bit of wind, pushing back against us, we're like, I can't. You know what? I'm gonna do the other thing.
Yeah, because that's how we're conditioned. We're all. It's been said, all of man's problems come down to one thing: separation from source. We don't live our lives with any faith, with any trust, with any connection, with any presence, we live our lives unconsciously and then wonder why we're acting unconsciously. Like what we do doesn't make sense because we're just doing things that we've been conditioned to do, that we see a bunch of other unconscious people doing, and we think that that's how life is. And, now is time to question everything. That's where you're going to find peace. If you look around at society and 75% of society says that they're unhappy, and you're trying to figure out your answers in what society has taught you and what society is showing you, for happiness, it ain't there. Like, that's why as soon as I catch myself, I've said this many times, as soon as I catch myself starting to act like society, that's a red flag to me that I'm heading in the wrong direction, because society isn't happy for the most part. So I want to act not like society. So if everybody's walking around going, oh my God, I'm stressed all the time, I don't want to do anything that they're doing. I don't want to think like they're thinking. I don't want to talk like they're talking. I don't want to duplicate anything that they're doing to the best of my ability, because what they have, I don't want it. I don't want their life. I don't want their way of life. So we have to start taking, and what you described is the norm. Most people are like that, and that's why they're unhappy. So what we have to do is something different than the norm to achieve something that the norm doesn't have. So the difference is what we're talking about. And, if things are going your way, of course it's easy to stay peaceful. But that is actually the formula that most people unconsciously walk through life with. And that's why they're so stressed out and so unhappy, is because basically their external circumstances dictate whether they're happy or not, whether they're peaceful or not. So if something goes your way, you're like, oh, I love this. And something doesn't go your way, you go, oh, I hate this. And it's just an emotional roller coaster that you have zero control over. That's no way to live. Happiness comes from within. If we take control of our own peace and our own happiness, and we go, no, my primary goal here is to stay peaceful and accomplish things through while being in a peaceful state, and we make that more important. Whatever you make more important is going to guide you. If you think getting something done is more important than doing it peacefully, then you're going to be stressed, because you're putting it above. Whatever you put above, your ultimate goal is what you're going to achieve. If you go, well, I'll be peaceful only if I can get everything done the way that I want to get it done, then I'll be peaceful. Then you don't want to be peaceful. because that's not how it works. Like, you don't get to control the entire universe. And that's literally what it would take. For most people to be happy, they would literally have to be God. They would literally have to be in control of every aspect of everything that functions on this earth. Every person driving a car, every person giving job promotions, every coworker's life, perspectives, how they look at things. They would have to be in control of absolutely everything in the entire universe if they were actually going to live a happy existence. Guess what? Ain't gonna happen.
I thought about this story during our last podcast recording, and it fits better in this one. I worked at Subway for a really long time, and I was really good at making sandwiches and making creative sandwiches and whatever for myself. But what I found was I would be like, all right, look, I need the perfect amount of lettuce. I need this sauce. I need 3 pickles. I need like just an onion, but I'm going to dice it up just a little bit. And I would make these sandwiches, and they would always be like exactly the way that I wanted it. And it would be so unsatisfying. I would be like, I did too much. I did too much. I did too much. I didn't. I should have done it this way. You know, like it was never. But then I would like go to a party, and there would be like a party platter of subs, and it would have like all the things I hated on it. You know what I mean? Like, it just happened to like
they just threw it together.
They made it the way that everybody, like the majority of people, like it. And I would have one of those like quarter sandwiches, and I'd be like, "This is great. I like this so much. I will never make a sandwich like that in my life, but I like it because I didn't have so much choice over it. My preferences were all interacting with each other. So like we wouldn't be happy unless we were God. We wouldn't be happy unless we had full control over everything I did, everything you did, everything that happens externally. You don't. Like, when you have that power over anything, even something small, that's when you go crazy.
Right.
You know?
Right. It's an endless game. Like,
yeah.
even if you can find a place in life where you think that you actually have it, there's no peace there. Yeah. You never sit there and go, oh, okay, I have full control over everything and now I can relax. No, you go, now I have full control over everything. I have all this pressure to do everything perfectly and to figure every aspect out and to rip it apart and dissect it. And then everybody else has to appreciate how wonderful I did because I was in control and it's on me. And, we'll put all these subconscious and unconscious pressures on ourselves on top of it. It's just a way of thinking that is absurd when you say it out loud.
Also, not for nothing, everything's better with a little bit of chaos. Like, just a tiny bit, like not chaos, but like just a little bit of unexpected.
Well, yeah, and I mean, the fact is that comes standard.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little. You don't have to create chaos or unexpected. That comes standard in life. So there's always plenty of that. You don't have to look for it. It's just just sitting there, anchoring into your principles. Going back to the basics and going, what do I want flowing through my body as I walk through this journey of life? As as I go through my work day, what do I want? We have to pay attention to what we're doing to ourselves. People think stress, the way people talk about stress is like it's this external thing being put on them. Oh, my job's very stressful. Oh, this relationship is really stressing me out. Oh, this, I don't know what to do about this, so I'm stressed. Like, stress is optional. It's not mandatory. It's not induced because of situations. It's induced because we don't know how to handle situations in a healthy manner. That's why. You know, and I'm not saying that I walk through life never feeling any stress. Sometimes I do, but I know that I'm a lot better at it than a lot of people because I put energy towards it, you know? So it's, a job isn't stressful. And, you know, it's times like this where it's like, I almost wish I had somebody that actually believed it right in front of me so I could just drill them and prove to them why it's not.
Do you want me to go get Dave?
No. So, and then I realized, Glenn, you don't want that. But no, because a job isn't stressful, and it's very easy to see that nothing is actually stressful. Stress is how we react to a situation. And we are in control over how we react to situations, because there are people at jobs that are not stressed by those jobs. And I'm talking the same jobs that there are. I mean, of course, there might be some jobs that nobody that gives a crap about their inner peace would ever take it. You know, I don't, you know, maybe like I had this vision of like, you know, the stockbrokers on the US stock exchange, like, you know, like, you know, there's no peace in that environment. Everybody's yelling and moving as fast as they can. I don't know. Maybe there's somebody that's really grounded that can do that type of stuff and stay peaceful at the same time. I mean, it's possible. I mean, if somebody set their goal to do that, they could achieve it. I just don't know if somebody that really has a goal for peace would get into that job, you know? So, I mean, we have to take those into consideration. But as a general rule in life, very, very, very stressful situations can be handled without stress. And people have done it. So if they do it and you don't, why? It's because we have control over how we interact with things, and it's going to take some work. But if you start going, you know what, I'm going to be peaceful, and you make that your priority. I understand in the beginning that sometimes like you don't even know how to function in a peaceful situation, in a peaceful energy. So sometimes you're going to go to work and you're probably going to allow yourself to fall into the manic, stressful state just to get something done because it has a deadline or something. You know, I get it. I'm not saying that we have to do it perfectly. I'm saying start chipping away at it. Start making a principle of living in love or living a peaceful existence or, you know, living through treating all people with kindness. Pick a healthy, eternal principle and make that your primary goal. Make that, I'm going to do that as much as possible. And you will see dramatic shifts in your life. Even if you cut your stress in half, if you cut your stress by 25%, you will notice a dramatic shift in your life. You know, just so you can do it in a fairly short period of time. Anybody can cut their stress by like 25%, probably within a matter of a few months. And I think I'm being kind of kind with those estimates. You know, you can probably cut it by 50% in 3 months, or, you know, 25% in 1 month or something. But whatever you can do, you can accomplish it and make your life more peaceful. You just really have to put some energy towards it. And it's worth it, because what you get out of it is a more manageable life. And stress does not improve performance. Stress deters your performance. It's detrimental to your performance. You perform worse when you're under stress. So not only are you going to live a more satisfying, peaceful, happy life, but you're actually going to perform better too. You know, so it's a win-win. That's how we know it's spiritual. So I think it's time for you guys to start doing that.
I'm going to try.
And I'm going to say, start doing that. Damn it. Yeah, I said it. You heard it here.
Well,
you can take that sound bite and use it against me.
Well, if you guys are looking for a life coach with a potty mouth,
yeah, you got one, and damn it, ain't it?
You can check out while we're doing old Glennisms for the people on video. Can you do the Glenn dance?
The Glenn dance, sure.
Yeah. every day during personal
every day.
training.
Yeah, we had music in the background.
Yeah.
I needed to do something to.
Yeah. I would be 90% focused on a curl, 10% focused on the form of it, 90% focused on, and then an additional 10% I didn't even know of my consciousness was focused on Glenn going.
Yeah, jamming out to the tunes.
Yeah,
that were on a loop. Same
Absolutely.
songs at same time every day.
But then when we had to choose, right, when you had the Life Enhancement Center and we had to choose what we were doing, what we were listening to, it became a 10-minute conversation at the beginning of every session.
What do you want to listen to? I don't know. What do you want to listen to?
Terrible. I would much rather have had the gym random. We don't get to choose anyway.
We're not perfect. We're not perfect. We're still working through things, or at least we weren't perfect then. We're probably perfect now.
Contact Glenn. You can message him anywhere that you're listening to this, or the contact info is there in the description. And please, if you are interested in more Glenn Ambrose content, check out all of the podcasts on Inside Timer or wherever you're listening to this. And also watch us live every Thursday at 6 p.m. for Ask Glenn Anything. And that's on YouTube, Facebook, and all that good stuff. So thank you guys so much. Glenn,
thank you.
This has been fun spending several hours with you again today.
Yes.
And it's a spoiler alert behind the curtain. It's a Thursday. So you guys will have seen the Ask Glenn Anything a long time before this, but I have another half hour with you later.
Yes.
It's fun. All right.
Joy. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening and or watching. And we will talk with you, at you, and for you soon.
Glenn is available for life coaching sessions. To book an appointment or for more information, go to glennambrose.com, follow him on Facebook and Twitter, or click the link in the description of this episode.